Welcome to Lunch and Learn with the Central Rappahannock Regional Library. I'm Lee Criscolo, the head of adult services at the Howell branch. And today we're going to learn about the Rappahannock Education Farm, which provides fresh produce and farming education for the greater Fredericksburg area. We have with us today Rich LaRochelle, who's the chairperson of the farm's board and is committed to the goals of the farm, particularly its mission of growing produce that can help reduce hunger and improve nutrition in our community. He's also a founding director of the Fredericksburg Food Co-op and was part of the team that helped Downtown Greens purchase and preserve 56 acres of wetlands, mature trees, and farmland in Fredericksburg. Welcome, Rich. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Chris. It's great to be here with you this morning.
All right. Now, you have a fabulous presentation, so I'm just going to go straight to that. Let me get myself out of the picture.
Well, good morning. I appreciate this opportunity to talk a little bit about the Rappahannock Education Farm. Next slide. So our farm was incorporated in 2023, and we really exist to grow fresh produce. We donate everything we grow to reduce hunger and food insecurity in our area, and to provide agricultural education to show people how they can grow some of their own food, and to be a welcoming place where everyone can come together as a community to work together for the benefit of our neighbors. Next slide. The reason the farm exists is really because our area has a significant amount of food insecurity. Approximately 9.5% of the people in what's called Planning District 16, which is Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, Stafford, King George, Caroline County, and so forth, are food insecure, meaning that they don't know where the next meal is going to come from, and at times they lack enough food to carry on the normal activities of daily life. With kids, it's about 11% that are food insecure. Next slide. So we have the audacity to believe that everyone should have 3 meals a day for their bodies. That's something that should be a basic human right. And so that's part of our commitment to the community. Next slide. So again, our part of the solution is simply to grow and donate fresh food, show people how to grow food. We have an 11.5 acre farm off of White Oak Road and a small garden at the food bank. Next slide. So we simply grow and donate beautiful produce and donate everything we grow to people in this community. So here's some photos of some of the vegetables that we've grown over the last year and a half or so. Our long range goal is to grow and donate 100,000 pounds annually of beautiful, delicious, nutritious produce. According to Dan Mayer, who's the head of the food bank, our area has a gap of about 200,000 pounds of fresh food that people who get food bank services want and don't have available to them. So we think we can meet about half of that goal. It will take us some time to get there, but incrementally we're building to that point. Next slide. So in 2025, we had a goal of growing and donating 25,000 pounds. We didn't know if we were going to make it. As you can see on the slide, we started off slow. It was our first full year of operating our 11.5 acre farm. And so on the left, you see our first harvest in 2025, which was 30 pounds. And on the right, you see our last harvest, which was almost 2,000 pounds. So we continue to grow during the year. In October of 2025, we surpassed that 25,000 pound goal, and we ended up in 2025 growing and donating 43,000 pounds of fresh food. Next slide. So this shows kind of where we stand now. So we established a goal for 2026 of growing and donating 60,000 pounds of fresh produce. As of the end of March, the end of the first quarter, we've grown and donated 9,126 pounds. It's basically the cold weather crops. It's cabbage, kale, collards, a little bit of broccoli, turnip, and radishes. Next slide. So we're a 100% volunteer organization. We have the link there if anyone would want to sign up as a volunteer, rappahannockfarm.org/volunteer. We have wonderful volunteers. Everything we do, every seed we plant, every vegetable we harvest is done with the hands of volunteers in our community working for each other. Next slide. So we really appreciate our volunteers. This photo shows one day right after we got our barn built. It was really raining hard. We had a lot to harvest that day, and nevertheless, volunteers came out and they did the job. Ted Schubel, the radio personality, he often comes out to the farm, and he says our volunteers are tough as nails and community focused. And I have a quote from one of our volunteers who was harvesting radishes on a very cold day. And at the end of the day, I saw she had posted that she was feeling so blessed that even though her fingers were harvested, she was so blessed to be part of this farm. And I think that's kind of the message that our volunteers give us, that we really created the farm to provide, fresh food to people who don't have it, to teach people how they can grow some of their own food. But a third benefit that has really emerged is that people are coming together as a community. They're enjoying spending time together, and it's really giving them a very positive, emotional, kind of feeling to do this kind of work on behalf of others. Next slide. I love this comment that one of our volunteers, Robin Lee, made. I asked her why she volunteers. She's been volunteering at the farm since our very beginning. She's just an awesome person. And she said, at the farm, volunteering means more than growing healthy food. It grows connection. It brings generations together, softens the edges of loneliness, nurtures a sense of community, leaving you with the kind of good vibes that renew our commitment to community, our sense that humanity is still there. Next slide. So in addition to everything else we do, we follow a sustainable approach to farming. Last year, we were given the Living Green Award by the local Sierra Club. We're working now to get the certified naturally grown designation for our farm. Next slide. So when I think about the community support that we've gotten, of course, the volunteers come to mind. Without them, we couldn't do the work we do. But also I have to take a moment to express appreciation for Price Jett Jr., who really sold us this 11.5 acres at a very attractive price. Without his support, we wouldn't be able to operate this farm. And he did this partly because his father, who's also known as Rudy, farmed this land for many years. And he used to grow vegetables and donate them to people in the community and in his church who he knew needed the fresh food. So we seek to honor the legacy of Price's dad. Next slide. In terms of support, the Lions Clubs really stand out. They have been enormously supportive of our farm. They have raised most of the money for us to build a barn, which we badly needed for three purposes: to basically store materials and equipment, to keep vegetables between the time we harvest them and donate them, and then to hold educational classes when the weather outside is not good. Next slide. This is a photo of the barn that the Lions helped to fund. Next slide. Some of the neighbors, Andy and Brenda Stone, have been really helpful. In so many ways. Brenda is a frequent volunteer, and Andy has an excavating company. He helped to create the pad for the barn. He helped to put the parking lot in. he has done so many things for the farm, and we really appreciate both Brenda and Andy. Next slide. Also, thanks to Sabina Wiseman and Sally Harmon, who did the architectural work for the barn and also laid out a landscaping design for the farm. They really stepped up, did all this pro bono, and also covered some of the cost of the getting the permitting and the approvals from the county. Next slide. We needed a deer fence around, we had a deer fence around the back 4 acres of our farm that we put up as volunteers, but we needed a deer fence around the other 7.5 acres. And Amazon approached us and they asked what they could do to help. And we said, well, we need a deer fence. And so they worked with HIT Construction and JB Klein. And within about 4 days, we had a deer fence around the whole property, which then enabled us to plant on that property and to get a lot of produce. Next slide. The Eagle Scouts have stepped forward and embraced our farm. These scouts in this photo created these signs for us on the left. There's 2 welcoming signs. They also built picnic tables and benches. And then on the right, you see a bat box, a place for bats to live. They put 2 of those on the farm and also a barn owl box. So that encourages this kind of natural ecosystem. And we really appreciate the Eagle Scouts. Next slide. Friends of the Rappahannock approached us and they asked whether they could put fruit trees at our farm. And so they put 40 Asian pear trees. We selected Asian pear trees because we don't use chemical pesticides, and we think we can grow Asian pear trees in Virginia on our farm without using pesticides. They also put in 10 blueberry bushes. So we're excited that in addition to vegetables, in the next couple of years, when these trees mature a little bit, we'll also be able to harvest and donate Asian pears. Next slide. We also have a native plant garden, which volunteers who are passionate about native plants did all the work to put it in. Local folks who have native plants, including local native plant societies, donated hundreds of native plants. And these volunteers pictured on the left have done just a terrific job. Kari and Stacy and others have done just a great job of putting in a native plant garden. We don't get any vegetables from it, but we do get pollination benefit. And then the pollinators help our whole farm. Next slide. So we've also had, we welcome, all kinds of wildlife. So we have birds and blooms, and this gentleman, Kent Churchill, he built 3 bluebird boxes. And in the first year, we had 2 nesting pair who were in different bluebird boxes. So it's really exciting to see them. Next slide. So I guess if I had one takeaway from the 1.5 years or so that we've been operating our 11.5 acres, it would be profound gratitude for the immense community support that we've received, the volunteers without whom we couldn't do the work, the donors who support us all the way, the grants we've received from the hospital foundations, the community foundations, the Lions Clubs, the in-kind services from Dominion and Amazon, the partnering organizations like the Food Bank, VCFC, the food pantries, and the wonderful neighbors we have, and so many others. Without this kind of community support, the community coming together around this goal, this work couldn't happen. Next slide. So we talked about how much we grew in 2025. It was 43,000 pounds. We were thrilled by that. We really exceeded our goal of 25,000 pounds. This graph shows a little bit about what we grew. Basically, the food bank gives us a list of the produce that they want, that their clientele would be interested in, and we grow to that list. So in 2025, we grew and donated 16 different kind of vegetables. And then if you look at the variety within the vegetables, it was about 35 different varieties. For example, 5 different kinds of cabbages and several different kinds of tomatoes and so forth. This shows, we had a lot of zucchini, a lot of kale, a lot of collards, a lot of cabbage, and so forth and so on. So I'd like to take a minute and walk through some of the highlights on these vegetables. Next slide. So we grew a lot of zucchini. We planted it twice, in May and in July and August. And we were able to really harvest it in the second planting from the end of September to early November when we had the hard frost. Next slide. We had a lot of fun planting zucchini. On the left, we're showing you the type of zucchini we planted. We got the seeds from Johnny's. It's organic seed. And they did really well, and they were just beautiful. Next slide. So one of the things we learned is when we have something that's working well, it's good to scale it up. So we planted 2 quite large fields in zucchini. As you can see in the photo there, how small the volunteers are relative to the size of that field. And on the left, we have Deborah Schlief, a dean at the college, and Ted Schubel, who helped us to plant these zucchini. We planted them all by seed. Next slide. So we planted tomatoes. I think if I could plant only one vegetable, it would be tomatoes. People love them. They're beautiful. You can do so much with them. So we planted them twice, in May and in July. We used what's called a Florida weave approach to hold them up. And we did companion planting with marigolds, which we think helps to take away some of the insect pressure. We harvested from late June until early November, and we got an awful lot of tomatoes, and they were beautiful. Next slide. This shows some of the volunteers who planted the tomatoes. This was during our second planting in July. It was a sorority that came, and there were about 35, 40 young women, and they did a great job planting those for us using biodegradable plastic mulch made from corn. Next slide. We're getting ready this week to plant tomatoes in our greenhouse. We have a greenhouse thanks to a group of volunteers who built it, led by Steve Spratt. The funding for the materials was provided by the Honeywell Fund of the Community Foundation of the Greater Rappahannock River region. And so this shows one of our volunteers helping to prepare the soil. Later today or later this week, we'll be putting in about 200 tomato plants in that greenhouse. We're really excited to be able to do that. Next slide. We planted a lot of kale and collards. It's known as the gift that keeps giving. We planted them in late August and early September, and we harvested, in January through April from what we had planted the year before, and then from September until just now, from what we planted in 2025. And the kale and collards are abundant, they're beautiful, they're healthy, they're nutritious, and people love them. Next slide. This shows some of our volunteers. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the seedlings. We got those seedlings from a nursery in Jarrett, Virginia. We planted over 7,000 kale seedlings and 7,000 collard seedlings in a field that we purchased in January of last year. There were so many of them. One of our volunteers said, "We have endless kale and collards." Next slide. So it turns out kale and collards are not endless. When you get to have the hot weather, they don't really like the hot weather. They're really cold weather crops. And so they start to bolt and go to seed when you get the hot weather. So last week we had some days in the mid 80s. And that sends a signal to the plants that the season is over. It's time to go to seed so the seeds can fall to the ground and then the life renews itself. So we needed to get them out of the ground. So last Saturday, we harvested over 2,500 pounds of kale and collards. That was our biggest harvest so far. We had 3 or 4 harvests that were like in the 1900s, but we had never crossed over 2,000. So last week, we crossed over 2,000 for the first time. We still have 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of collards in another field that we hope to harvest this week or early next week. Next slide. To get all of these seedlings in the ground, it really took an army of volunteers. These slides show some of the many volunteers that came out. We appreciate each and every one of them. Next slide. So let's talk about sweet potatoes. We loved growing sweet potatoes. We planted them in June from slips. This shows you some of the slips. We got the slips from a local farmer, Taylor Galloway, and also from the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. We harvested them, in October. Basically, you put them in the ground. It's a really interesting process. They don't look all that great when you put them in the ground, but you put them in the ground, you wait 120 days, you dig them up, and you get incredibly beautiful sweet potatoes. Next slide. So this shows some of our harvest. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. People dig in the ground where we planted them to pull up the sweet potatoes. In the middle, you can see a gentleman from the food bank who came to the farm and picked up these sweet potatoes. And on the right, more of the volunteers harvesting. Next slide. So we love having kids at the farm, and these 2 kids were looking for sweet potatoes and excited whenever they found one. And Alexander, the young boy on the right, he found the sweet potato, and it was real big, and he was very amused by it. But I can tell you, those sweet potatoes are very delicious, and they're very abundant. Next slide. So cabbage, we couldn't do what we do without cabbage. People love cabbage. It's highly nutritious, and there's so much you can do with it. You can put it in salads, you can bake it, you can do all kinds of things with it. We planted 5 kinds of cabbage. They matured at different times. We had 2 plantings, one in March that we harvested in June, about 90 days after planting, and the other in September. And we harvested all of those. We harvested the rest of our cabbage just a week before we got the bad snow and ice in January. So we got thousands of pounds of cabbage. Next slide. So this shows our spring 2025 harvest of cabbage. It was great. We enjoyed it, but it was much more abundant in January. The January harvest shows one of our nice harvests in January, and some of our volunteers who just did a great job harvesting them. Next slide. So in March 2026, just last month, we planted about 4,000 cabbage seedlings. So, come June, we'll be harvesting a lot of cabbage. Next slide. Potatoes. We had really good luck with potatoes. We planted seed potatoes in March. We harvested them in July. This shows some of our volunteers. We basically plant them about 12 inches apart, about 6 to 8 inches deep. And we planted the whole seed potato. Next slide. We hill the potatoes by hand. That's really good exercise. Next slide. And we got a tremendous amount of potatoes. And you can see one of our volunteers who had just cleaned the potatoes, and then when we delivered them to the food bank with Dominique. Next slide. So last month we planted thousands of seed potatoes. This shows some of our volunteers. We had a great volunteer day. Over 50 people showed up, and I think had a great time planting this whole field of potatoes. We will also plant another field of potatoes probably by the end of this week or early next week. Next slide. We planted watermelon and cantaloupe just kind of as an experiment, and they did pretty well. Unfortunately, some of them, most of them were bitten by some animal. We don't know what animal it was yet. So we need to get a wildlife camera. But in harvesting the watermelon, one of our volunteers happened to drop one. And so it cracked a little bit. We had no choice but to taste it, and it was delicious. So we were happy to have planted watermelon and cantaloupe, and we'll plant more this year. Next slide. Parents and children are always welcome at our farm. We love to have them there. They learn a lot about how a farm works, about how gardening works. I don't think that no matter what kids learn in a classroom, it can be quite the same as actually planting a seed, taking care of it, watering it, weeding, and then harvesting it, and even enjoying the taste of it. And that experience is something that kids can have at our farm. Next slide. They learn, how to plant things. You can see kids planting beets, planting onions, planting green beans. They do such a great job doing that. Next slide. And then they do a great job harvesting, whether it's string beans or whether it's zucchini or radishes. It's just a delight to see them at the farm and enjoying it and really contributing. Next slide. So some of the takeaways, real quickly, we've decided to go to using a landscaping fabric because doing hand weeding at the scale that we need to do to grow the produce we need really isn't feasible. We have a lot of clay in our soil, so we've been working hard to introduce organic matter. The city of Fredericksburg has given us all of their leaves, so we integrate them into the soil. We also plant in mounds. And we just believe in increasing the scale. We have an 11.5-acre farm, and we want to keep planting as much as we possibly can. And we can plant from March until October. One lesson is if something doesn't work, just keep planting, just keep trying, never give up. Next slide. So a little bit of a peek at what we plan for 2026. We'll build on what we've accomplished in 2025. We'll bring more land into production. By the end of the year, we'll have all of our acreage in production. Our goal, as I said earlier, is to grow and donate 60,000 pounds of fresh produce, and also to offer more educational programming, both at our 11.5-acre farm and also in cooperation with other groups at the food bank. Next slide. So here's a little bit about a few of our educational programs. On the far right-hand corner, far right-hand side, you'll see Taylor Galloway. He did a great session providing gardening advice. He's a local farmer at Moss Neck Farm in Caroline County. So he's kind of the real thing. So in mid-March, he did an hour program, answered a ton of questions of people with his real life experience. And we'll have him back this year kind of for a mid-year check-in so people can ask questions based on what's going on in their farm or in their garden. On Saturday, April 11th, Stacy Churchill and I are going to be doing a little presentation showing you what our planting plan is for 2026, what we're going to plant, where we're going to plant it, when we're going to plant it. And then we've developed a demonstration garden so that whatever we plant on the larger farm, we'll replicate it in a smaller plot of land called a demonstration garden so that people can see that they could do the same in their backyard. And anyone who wants to follow our planting plan, they can see how it works in the demonstration garden, and they can plant in their own backyard or in containers the same things we're planting at the farm when we plant them. Next slide. So March was a busy month at the farm. We are getting ready to plant tomatoes in the greenhouse. We hope to get them in by the end of March, but we'll get them in by the end of this week. We planted a lot of potatoes, a lot of cabbage. In April and May, once the danger of frost is over, we'll plant all of our summer kind of crops, tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers, peppers, all of that kind of stuff. And then after that, we'll plant watermelon, cantaloupe, and we'll plant sweet potatoes early in June. On the right, you can see some of the work on our greenhouse. We're really happy to have it. I hope you all will come to the farm and take a walk through the greenhouse. It'll be full of tomatoes at that time, but you'll be able to walk through the aisles and just enjoy looking at them. Next slide. So we just added a concrete floor to our barn. We now have electricity in our greenhouse. We're looking for bids to bring electricity to our barn, and we need to raise funding for that. We need to outfit the barn with shelves and so forth. Another goal we have in 2026 is to pay down some of the debt we incurred to buy the land, and also to see if we can get the certified naturally grown designation. Next slide. So that's a little bit about the Rappahannock Education Farm. Everyone is welcome to join us as a volunteer, as a donor, to participate in any way that works for you. If you want to learn more about us, you can follow us on Facebook. We're the Rappahannock Education Farm. You can follow us on Instagram. You can go to our website, and we just welcome everyone, adults and children. We hope you'll come visit us. We hope you'll volunteer. If you feel like the work is too hard or you can't bend or things like that, just come out and hang out at the farm, enjoy the fresh air, look at the vegetables, look at the flowers, and just enjoy being part of the community. So I want to thank you, Lee, and the Central Rappahannock Regional Library for giving us this time today, and invite everyone to come out to the farm. And thank you, Lee, for being a great volunteer also. We appreciate you.
I was going to say, I have a personal testimonial. I've been out to volunteer at the farm several times, and I highly recommend it. You meet great people, you're outside, you're getting a little exercise, you're helping to benefit the community and working together. So I highly recommend that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you for all you do. And I'll see you down at the farm. So this is Lunch and Learn signing off.
Take care. Thanks now.
Bye-bye.